welcome back to Any Percent, the only podcast starring two hosts. My name is Evan Sampson, and I am your host, and I am joined by the other host, Cody Mosley.
Hey guys, it's very lonely around these parts.
Yeah, no, it's just two guys hanging out, doing a podcast. It feels weird not having Casper here. Casper is on sabbatical, so he'll be back episode after the next one. He's got 2 episodes off. I think.
We should make up something like, oh, he's on like medical leave. He had a really crazy surgery or something. It was his ball. They just took it out or whatever.
One of his nuts?
Yeah.
It would be better if he got an extra one. That's what I would want for Casper. You know, I wish him the best. I hope he can get an extra nut someday in his life. I gotta figure out how to do the intro without sounding like super forced. Like, I feel like a lot of podcast hosts are able to bring that heat, but I feel like I'm lukewarm at best. You know, like
I think you know what they usually do is they have like a thing that they say every single time. Like, we are any percent, and then they could just like roll right through it and it just comes natural, you know?
Yeah.
But
well, it's not natural for me. It feels weird. Every time I have to say like, welcome back, I just like don't know. I don't know how much theater to put into it. What if I should just do like a full-on silly voice next time instead of just like a YouTuber voice, which is my own voice but louder? Like I should do, you know, welcome back to Any Percent, the only podcast. I don't know what accent that is. Sorry, I'm gonna stop now.
I was gonna say you should do like the silliest accent of all, an English accent.
Yeah, no one likes the English. I think we can all agree. Yeah.
Agreed.
Boy, it's the Any Percent podcast, isn't it? Sorry to our English viewers. Cody.
Yeah, buddy.
Let's do the banter part. This is episode 17. Can you believe we've done 16 episodes of this show and we're starting our 17th, man?
You know,
and 17. Hey, is that your favorite number? It's my favorite number.
It doesn't make sense though. Like if you're really looking at it, we've only done this is our 17th, but we've been doing it for like a long ass time.
9 months now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we've skipped. We've as people probably will notice when this releases at like out of the usual schedule. You know, summer's a busy time and we are notoriously, I think at this point, like bad at staying on schedule. So
yeah,
I hope our listeners will find it in their hearts to forgive us, but probably not.
Maybe we'll revamp and we'll start over. And
Any Percent 2.0.
Exactly.
Burn it to the ground. So Cody, what's up? What have you been playing, buddy?
Yeah, dude. So since last episode, I beat Ratchet & Clank 2016 in preparation for the new one.
Yeah.
And okay, so I feel like an idiot. Let's see. I'm gonna ask you, right, and we'll see what you think, right? So you know how like Ratchet & Clank games, even if you're not a fan of the series, you know how their titles are always like sexual innuendos. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like up your arsenal and
quest for booty, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
and rift apart is like tearing an asshole like wide open, right?
Yeah.
Like
ripped a fart.
Oh, I thought it was more like some kind of, you know, just like butt sniffing stuff, like just getting in there into another person's butt.
Well, for the longest time, like leading up to the game, I'm like, what the? It's kind of crazy. They don't have like a sexual innuendo, and it just hit me. It struck me like fucking lightning. I was like, ripped a fart. So it all makes sense now. It's not like that's you know what I mean. It's not, but yeah. So I beat Ratchet & Clank 2016 in preparation for Rift Apart, and it's really good. I don't know. Are you planning on purchasing it, playing it, or?
I didn't love 2016 that much, but at some point I probably will. I mean, there's goddamn nothing to play on the PS5, so.
Yeah, and especially when you're looking into the future for PS5 and, you know, God of War apparently is going to be on PS4 as well. So is Horizon 2. Yeah. So it's like, what's what's coming out that's like exclusive to PS5. But yeah.
Yeah, what's like gonna actually take advantage of all the hardware?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Insomniac's doing a lot of heavy lifting with
I know,
Miles
seriously.
Morales, Ratchet and Clank, Spider-Man, a couple years ago. So they'll probably go quiet for a while. I imagine Spider-Man 2 is probably next, like the true sequel.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rift Apart is really good. It's like beautiful. I don't know if you've seen like screenshots.
I have, and I think like the Rift effect looks really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to know like, they make the claim like this is only possible with the solid state drive. Is that like really true, or is it just like preloading these like levels and you're just like jumping into like, I feel like I've seen shit like that, dude, before,
Yeah, it's definitely, I know exactly what you're talking about because games have done something similar, right? It's not, it didn't invent this idea of like, stepping into like another world that's being loaded in the background or whatever. And so far, I don't think I've encountered anything that's like so crazy that I don't think a PS4 could do it. So I don't know if that claim is, and I wouldn't be surprised if they might look like they have, egg on their face or whatever, but if it does come to PS4, like I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, it's really good. It's just more Ratchet and Clank. They've kind of perfected the formula by this point, so it's not doing anything super crazy.
Got your like soap shoes in this one. Can you like grind rails?
There's grinding rails. You're doing it's just the gameplay loop they have you on, right, is you're encountering enemies and you're switching weapons and you're running out of ammo, switching to the next one.
How hard is it?
It's not, I mean, I think it's still very much a child's game. I haven't.
So what are you saying about yourself, you big baby? Little big baby want big poo-poo in this diaper? Huh?
I mean, I've had a couple of like mini bosses and stuff, but they give you enough ammo where you're never like running out and stuff like that. And I think it's just nice to have like a game that, like, it's a video game. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Does that make sense? Like, it's not trying to be this crazy 100-hour plus. Like, it's just a game where you can just wrap your arms aund. I'm just gonna.
And they're not like trying to like bury every system in like a narrative layer or like like a cinema type layer. Yeah.
Right. It's just another adventure with Ratchet and Clank. So the ray tracing is like nuts on the old 4K TV. I think that if you do the ray tracing, you can't. I'm on the performance RT mode, so it's like 60 frames. I don't think it's 4K
ray tracing.
Mm-hmm. Must be like scaled down 4K or something like that. Still looks great though. And the stuff they do with the DualSense controller, it's very subtle. I think still it's Astrobot that has done it the best. Made use of it, but it does make use of that like adapted trigger, like the double shot that we
like in Returnal.
So much in Returnal, right. So
I actually didn't like that in Returnal. That's
really?
Yeah, maybe in Ratchet and Clank wouldn't bother me as much, but I was always like pulling. I was just like be so tense, with all these enemies and shit in Returnal, and I would pull it too far.
I see.
And like switch modes by accident. But I liked it.
A nice variety of a nice variety of guns as well. And Ratchet and Clank, there's like one grenade that like turns the enemies into like lawn, like hedges, like foliage.
Do they look like hedges themselves, or are they like cubes?
They look like themselves, just like all cut up real nice, hedgified. So it's a lot of fun.
It's pretty cool. I mean, so that's probably all done with like shaders, I would guess, right? Like
but it's like every, even if there's two enemies that are like the same species or whatever, same type, they like are different. And it kind of reminds me of I forgot what the weapon is in Ratchet and Clank 2016, but the disco grenade.
Yeah, I remember that.
Start doing the disco. Yeah, it's like they animated different dances for like every single enemy. Like if you go back to it and you try it out, it's like you'll see very little
like
of
repeat.
the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like they didn't have to put so much care into it. You know what I mean? But yeah,
sick. Anything else?
No, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
No, that's pretty much
Playing
it.
any Valorant?
A little bit of Valorant. I think that they just started their Act 3, so now is like a pretty good time to jump in, and especially for you since you just kind of, maybe you're on and off, but now you're starting to play it more.
Mm-hmm.
They put out a patch yesterday that like changed everything. It's like almost a completely different game. Balancing the heroes and the economy of making things expensive.
Sick. I haven't checked it out. I played like a week ago last, but I'll have to check it out.
They released.
I realized the Guardian is my favorite gun in that game. I really like that gun, basically because it has no recoil, and so as long as I line it up, I don't have to worry about recoil. Just like,
dude, you just a headshot
like, pew,
machine
pew,
out
pew,
there?
pew. No, I don't hit the headshots, but I don't know. I just do better with it. I'm like not that good at that game in general. I think I said this last time, or I've definitely said this at some point. Like the whole like same thing with CS:GO, right? Like the whole like don't move and shoot, like stay put and start shooting. Obviously, it's more accurate to like a simulation type experience, but like it like goes against all my like Halo muscles and my Doom muscles.
Arena shooters, yeah,
and like Unreal Tournament 2004 is like one of my favorite shooters of all time, and it's just all this stuff where it's all about strafing, and so
you gotta
I
retrain your muscles.
And then like what happens is I'll start shooting, start strafing. Remember, I'm not supposed to strafe. Stop strafing.
Dead.
And I'm just dead by then. So yeah, quite the game though. Let's see. What have I been playing? I got back to Dragon Quest 11, and that is pretty good. I don't have a lot to like say about it because I don't want to like spoil it because I like just hit like a pretty cool story part. But
so how many hours? So like you took a break and then
I took a long break. Yeah, and what's cool about this game is like it's not that hard, so it's pretty easy to like jump back in. Like you just got to remember to unless you forget how to navigate a menu, like there's no skill curve that you will like drop off of. So it was really easy to get back into. It was a little hard to remember like where I was at in the story when I first started, but figured it out. I played like I would say the last couple sections of the first act, and then I started the second act of the game, which is like marked with like a time skip, I think. And
so you still have like 1,020 hours to go.
I think I probably have like 15 more hours to go.
Really?
I mean, it's not too bad. I think it's like 60 hours.
Okay.
Which is about how long it took me to beat Yakuza Like a Dragon, I think. So,
right.
And then after I finish that, it's probably on to Persona, because that's like what everyone says is rad. And since I'm a JRPG guy now, yeah, I have the base game for free on PlayStation, but my friends are like, it's worth it. Buy Royale, like pay the money. And I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know what the difference is, but everybody does say that.
Yeah.
It's kind of you kind of wish that the PlayStation Plus free one was Royale. I mean,
it would have been nice, but that's how they get you.
Alas, are you drinking a Moscow Mule right now?
No, I just am drinking it out of my Moscow Mule cup because all the other dishes are dirty because I'm a pig who lives in shit.
Living in squalor.
Listen, it's
like
not my fault.
Living in a ruined Dubai, a sand Dubai.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good segue. I didn't really. I was gonna talk about something else that I was playing, but we can just segue.
No, we can talk. I apologize. I didn't mean to rush into it.
I picked up Near Replicant again, and I'm playing through that, which is version 1.22 blah 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 blah. Yeah.
3.1.44.
So I'm starting like my second playthrough because you have to beat the game like 5 times total to see everything.
Man, I tell you.
Yeah, well, on the bright side, they start you like with all your stuff, and every like the levels don't scale, right? So like I'm like level 30, and I've been kicked back to it. It only makes you play from the middle of the game onward, and it keeps kicking you back to the middle, but your level stays the same. So I'm just chewing through these like enemies at this point because the scaling was built to ride perfectly up to the end of the game. So at this point, it's more like a grind. But sometimes, you know, a grind is like just fun. It's fun to just grind it out.
Interesting. So, yeah, I don't know. You're jumping between like all these different genres. You know what I mean? That's interesting.
In Nier?
I can't.
Or
like,
no, yeah.
Right, just in general, right? Because you're doing like a RPG or JRPG,
And then
Dragon
like
Quest, and then you're jumping
action
to Nier.
RPG. Yeah.
You're jumping to Valorant.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not a one-trick pony. I like games. What can I say? Play a lot of games. I did also play a bunch of Deep Rock Galactic the other day with my buddy, which I still really like. I think it's a great game.
It gets better the more you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. It just sucks by yourself. Like
cool.
you need a friend. It's not like it's not a one-person game. Like
I don't even think it's a 2. Like 3 and 4 is like how many people you kind of not have to have. It just
it's
makes
good with 2. I think with 2 it's fine, but definitely the more people the better. Yeah. Have you ever played? Speaking of games that you just can't play by yourself, have you ever played Viscera Cleanup Detail?
I think I played that with you once, like a long time ago.
It's like a game where you have to it's like horrific events have occurred. Yeah. You know, and you are the cleanup crew that shows up after. It's like if you showed up, you know, to the to the ship. Yeah, like after a Doom level or like the ship of like the alien ship. What's it called? What the fuck's the ship in Alien called? It's like the Nostromo.
Yeah.
It's like you show up on the Nostromo and you have to like get all the arms and legs and you know,
put them in a bucket.
and sweep them up. That game is really fun with your friends just because like, well, you know, I guess if you like your friends. If you don't like your friends, then it's probably not that fun. But it's really fun. You just shoot the shit and you're like, oh, bro, you bring the mop. There's just a lot of blood over here. I'm going to need a second set of hands. But anyway, that's a great game. I haven't been playing it, but Deep Rock made me think of that. Yeah, that's pretty much it for what I've been playing. I tried out last thing. Having people over since we're vacied. We all got that good wizard blood.
You got Moderna?
I did. Yes, I did.
Why'd you hesitate?
Don't look. Do you know where the card is? You don't need to know. Don't worry about it. But I played some like PS2 games with one of my friends because I have this huge PS2 collection I've been amassing over quarantine. And I tried to play Metal Gear Solid 3 on my little CRT, which is just off camera, so you can't see it, but it's like 16 inches or less. And dude, can't see shit. Everything in that game is green, and I'm like trying to aim down sights and line up headshots, and I like can't see the guy's head over my gun because he's like already like 6 pixels, and my gun is like 12. So I'm like trying to. It's bad. I might like if I get the hankering to play more Metal Gear, I might just play like the PS3 HD collection instead because that was brutal, or at least get a bigger CRT. So
I mean, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough for a retro gamer, right? I think that's like a weird era where like I don't know. Stuff's obviously it's 3D. It's like 3D. But it's like this weird transition period where everything kind of looks like shit. It doesn't really hold up all too well.
Like
Tomb Raider. Like I'm just thinking about it wasn't PS2, right? But like Tomb Raider, I'm just thinking about like that game looked like fucking ass.
Which one? Like the
just
PS1
like
ones? Like
the early ones,
triangle titties, like Lara Croft, just like, Lara Croft.
Yeah, they're just figuring it out, you know.
God, I remember like very slyly like picking those games up like when I was 7. I'd be like the local
sneaky boy.
I'd be all sneaky. I wouldn't rent it. My parents wouldn't rent it for me, but I would like totally just like ogle at Lara Croft on the cover. Like, oh my.
I had a poster of Angelina Jolie's Lara Croft movie that we had in like our basement, and I would just like
whack it.
I don't know if I knew what whacking it was at that point, but I was like, something about this just is cool.
This is nice. I like this. All right. Speaking of whacking it, whacking your head in Dubai, we played Spec Ops: The Line.
Nice. Stuck the landing.
Spec Ops: The Line is a 2012 first-person shooter or third-person shooter by Yager Development, published by 2K. It is about a squad of Delta Squad is what they're called. Couple dudes,
Delta Squad,
just a couple of guys, just a couple of boys. Go into Dubai, and they're trying to rescue civilians, and it's the moral and existential terror that follows that type of experience, being a soldier. I mean, I'm not a soldier. Cody's not a soldier, I don't think. So obviously can't really speak to it, but it's a game that tries to tackle that aspect of soldiering, like the damage it does to a person.
Yeah, as opposed to like Call of Duty broing out with your bros. Which is just like,
I'm so fucking tough. I just killed everybody I know. I'm awesome.
And it doesn't affect them at all. Yeah. It's kind of like you remember the no Russian mission in Modern Warfare 2?
Of course.
It's like that, but the whole game.
Yeah.
It's like doing horrific stuff, like kind of because you have to.
Yeah.
But then in Modern Warfare 2, it just kind of glosses over, and you're right back in the on the battlefield. You know. Well, so Evan, did you maybe I blanked out, but did you mention why they're rescuing people from Dubai?
No. Cody, enlighten us.
Yeah, so it turns out there's been a lot of like sandstorms, and Dubai is kind of like completely cut off from the world. Kind of like it gives off that vibe, right? Because people aren't able to escape.
The city has fallen, because of these like super sandstorms.
Right.
So it's got like a climate change aspect to it.
Yeah, it's kind of got like that, like near future, kind of like, I mean, we'll talk about it later, but like Battlefield like 2042, like kind of like near future, like here's what
warfare will be.
Right. Just sandstorm. You're fighting the elements and other people.
So yeah, it's like very much like a cover shooter though, right? Like I think that's like when I describe this game to someone, I think I would like point that out. Like it feels like Gears of War. It feels like everything else that felt like Gears of War from the year 2012. Like it's just very it was the hotness at that time, you know, to make games like this.
I will say like I always found Gears like kind of clunky, right? And I guess that's kind of the appeal. Yeah. This is a cover shooter, but I feel like it's more fast. There's more. I don't know really how to describe it. Like there's more going on as opposed to Gears. Maybe that's because I was playing with like a mouse and keyboard. I don't know. Did you play with a controller or?
I played it with a controller.
Okay. Did you find it clunky at all or?
No, it was fine. You know, I felt like the snapping from like from one cover position to another, sometimes there'd be like a prompt like move cover, and I felt like that was like a little weird and like not consistent. I would like come up to a corner and think I should be able to jump across the other side, and it wouldn't give me that option. I think, unless I'm like totally like making that up, but you know, I found the cover itself to be like a little clunky, but not as bad as Gears of War for sure.
Yeah, you can kind of get away without like in my case it was hitting spacebar to cover. You could just like crouch behind the wall and you'd be fine.
Right, that works.
You'd be fine. Yeah. But I guess I'm kind of trying to say like there was more like pushing through the enemies to get to a point as opposed to like, I find like Gears maybe you're holding
more
down
like hunkering down. Yeah.
So it was like
definitely a lot of forward momentum, and you're like kind of helped on that front by your two AI companions who they'll like push forward without you and potentially die, so you need to be like working with your squad to survive, which is cool.
That other gameplay aspect where you can kind of give them commands, I thought that was pretty cool. It's not something you see in a ton of games. I do wish that system had been like more fleshed out though, I will say. Like so there's only like two types, right? There's like kill this guy and stun these people, and the
you always have access to kill this guy, and they kill him super slowly. It would so much faster to just shoot him yourself.
True.
But the stun commands, which are super helpful when they like show up, are like super scripted. Like
okay.
They seem to only show up at certain points, and it's like it gives you a big on-screen prompt, like look over here and hit left bumper. That's all you do.
Yep.
And it'd be cool if that system had been like built in in a more organic way, so you could use that, because it would, I mean, the game's easy enough as is. I didn't have any trouble with this game at all. So maybe that's why. But I thought it was a cool idea to have like this area of effect thing that your teammates can do consistently.
Yeah, it kind of feels like it looks like the studio isn't going this direction, but it kind of feels like something that kind of like laid the foundation, like the groundwork for like a future, like a next game where you can do all sorts of stuff. You're commanding people,
right? So this was supposed to be a reboot.
Very
of this. Well, it is a reboot, but usually when something is rebooting, it is followed by a sequel or something. But there's there's nothing for this. This is all you get. It's just Spec Ops: The Line. I did play when I was a kid and really liked Spec Ops. Which one was it? It's on their Wikipedia page.
Covert Ops?
Yeah, Spec Ops Covert Assault on the PS1. Played that a bunch when I was a kid. I thought that game was awesome. But like, it's just like that game is very much just like a standard military shooter. Like more probably going for like the Call of Duty thing, like, oh, you're a master warrior and you are gonna kill all these brown people, like all those games that are those games are racist. This game's this game at least like tries to
like walk the line. It's like
like definitely doesn't glorify the killing of innocent people around the world. So I'm into that, like, as a concept. I think more games need to do that. I'm really curious to see what
traitor soldiers.
Have you heard about like 6 Days in Fallujah, or however you say that?
Yeah, there's a lot of controversy around that game.
Like that's a game. I wonder if this game had tried
early, like
a long time ago. Yeah, and now it's coming back, and people are taking issue with its like use of white phosphorus and stuff, and it makes me wonder, because this game has white phosphorus in it. I wonder what the backlash would have been if this game had tried to come out today and like people just knew that tidbit, like that the game has white phosphorus in it.
Right.
If how people would have reacted. I don't think it's necessarily a good thing, but I mean, it's an interesting choice, and probably not a great choice that you literally have to use it to move forward in the game. So it is like gamified. Like someone could pull that as like a fact. Like this game gamifies the use of white phosphorus.
Right.
Where instead of just making it like a set piece thing that is like not direct, like the player doesn't have to do it. I don't know. But then the guy's all fucked up by it. So who's to say like if that was the right move or not? But
I agree with you that I totally agree. I think that it kind of serves the narrative, and I guess we'll have to see like how it is used in 6 days, if it ever sees the light of day.
I doubt it. I mean, also like that's like based on like Spec Ops: The Line is like obviously inspired by like various Middle Eastern wars that the United States has been involved in since the 80s. But like 6 Days in Fallujah is
events,
right.
So it's as opposed
I don't know. It's got a lot of weight on it for sure in that way, like emotional weight. Craziness. Okay, stop talking about white phosphorus for a minute, and let's talk about the gameplay, because we already talked about it a bit. We talked about the cover. Do you ever jump over cover and kill somebody?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You just like
I was like, I did it by accident. I like hit the wrong button and killed the guy. And I thought I was gonna die.
Because like the shift, at least on keyboard, right? The shift is the same as the melee button. So you would just like hop over and just fucking nail him.
Yeah. Just kick him in the head, kick his teeth in.
Yeah, dude, the executions are brutal. They're crazy.
Oh my god, yeah. Like, I thought maybe when I was playing that could somehow affect the ending. Like, it's like, oh, you are one bad son of a bitch. Like, it says if you don't kill people, they'll get back up. But like, is that true?
Start,
You're just
trying to fight you, yeah.
But you just wander into the next area, right? Like, is it that big of a deal? Do you actually have to shoot the downed people? Like, if there was just
I think if you leave them, like if they get downed, because there are some points when you are shooting a dude and he goes down, but he's still like kicking.
Yeah.
And you can go up and just fucking like do whatever to him.
Yeah. It's like stomp his head in with your boot.
Yeah.
It's fucking gross, and it makes a gross sound.
If you like melee someone, they can get back up, and if you melee them again, they're dead or whatever. So
yeah. But like if he's the last one standing, like, so the story won't like be, because usually it's like, all right, we got them all, let's go on to the next room. You know.
That's a pretty good Nolan North impression.
Thank you. So if there's like just the one guy who's like injured, do I have to go and kill him? Like, I feel bad about it.
I feel like he would just die at some point. Like, he's on a timer.
Yeah.
Because
could be.
There's so many dead people. It'd be hard to go back and like look for the one. You know, you got like thousands of bodies in that room. You know.
Well, on the bright side, he'd be like writhing in pain, so he'd be pretty easy to find. You'd probably hear him crying. Yeah. What else? What else gameplay stuff did we want to talk about? What do we think of the guns in this game overall?
Yeah, I think there's a pretty good amount of gun variety. I think that, I don't know about you, but I stuck with like I had the main assault rifle like the whole way through.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to like run out of ammo, I feel like, in this game. So
yeah. I think it's kind of like that one. The assault rifle was like my main choice, and then I would switch based on new weapons that I come across. Like the sniping, I really like the sniping.
Yeah.
In this game, I'm like quick scoping people. It's nuts.
It's cool. All the aim down sight stuff in this game does like, they're like billboards. They're like 2D images for the scopes. So like they're not like a real. They're like, it's like it's the front of the gun or the front of the scope. The end that's the closest to you is like a 2D image, and behind it is a 2D image that is like the other end of the scope, and they just kind of wiggle over each other.
Look 3D,
yeah, it looks vaguely 3D, but if you like pay any attention at all, you can tell it's not. But it's just like a cool use of that. I wonder if sights were too expensive for them to figure it out. Just
kind of like along those lines. Like this game, Yager's not. I guess they're not like the biggest team. So there are some like glitches and stuff that I ran into. Mostly to do with sound, and it's funny that you bring up like like just from a game dev point of view, like something they use to get around it. I think that when they have the cutscenes and then the cutscene sounds and then the regular game sounds, they're on like two separate tracks.
Oh, sure.
So I changed like the audio device that the game was coming out of, but then I couldn't hear anything when it got to a cutscene, and I'm like, that's really bizarre. That's like super weird.
I definitely had like overlapping chatter occur because I like did something too quickly, and like someone else started talking, and they're both talking at the same time.
Yeah.
I think Adam's like speaking over himself.
That's pretty good. And then the other glitch that I wanted to make note of was like sometimes when you hop on a turret, try this next time you're playing, right?
Yeah.
If you decide to go back to the game, of course. But if you're like crouched, if you're like behind cover and there's like a turret right above you, if you press in spacebar to grab the turret or whatever, your character will like grab it but still be facing like the other way.
Oh,
and
weird.
Kind of like grabs the turret from behind.
That's really funny. I have to check that out.
That
sounds really silly.
Yeah.
I like how there's an option to just flip turrets around. Like,
that is super helpful. Yeah.
It almost seems like they wouldn't install turrets to have full hinges, right? Like they're kind of like a stationary thing,
right? Like,
yeah, it's like all they have to do. I mean, obviously it's difficult because you have a turret, but like you would never ever want that to spin back around on you, right? So like, why even install like a ball hinge or something that can spin 360 degrees?
True.
But hey, I'm not a turret designer. I'm just a guy. So, what do I know?
Yep. I guess like the other point too, if we're talking about like the gameplay, what'd you think of the kind of like destructible environments? I think that they're
like the
we
sand?
have it in our notes. Yeah, like the sand, or sometimes you can you're behind cover and it's getting blown up from like RPGs and stuff.
Yeah, right.
So like what'd you think of that overall?
I think so it is like used somewhat like frequently in the game in these like minor scenarios, right? Like that you're saying, like the RPG fire, enemies will be like standing on a glass roof and you can shoot the roof out and they fall through. Super cool.
Yeah.
Really nice, all good. But the coolest use of it is the sand. Like when there's a window that is holding up a ton of sand that has like blown up against the building and you shoot it out and it crushes all your enemies. I mean, it's pretty fucked up. Fucked up way to kill somebody, but it's pretty cool, like action movie wise, like
a avalanche, like a sand avalanche.
Yeah, because avalanches are made of ava, and it's a snow avalanche. Anyway.
Yeah, well, isn't an avalanche just called like made out of snow just coming down, right?
No, I know, but yeah. Anyway, it's like how people say that they're a chocoholic. It's like there's no such thing as chocohol. That's what I'm pointing out. It's not a funny joke.
True.
Yeah. Anyway, that is like the coolest use of that, and it only comes up in like very scripted times. And
true.
I feel like I have like shot early at something, so I'm like, oh, that looks like one like I can take out, and it'll start to crack, but it won't take the final bullet until like the story
demands
or like
it.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're like Lugo or Adams will be like, blow the window, go now. And the window is like one pane of glass left that isn't like completely shattered to bits, and then just like throw a fucking stick at it.
Yeah, that's like it definitely feels like it should be. I mean, again, that feels like a thing that they're like setting up for a future game, like where it's going to be like totally destructible environments.
Yeah.
Because they use it so sparingly, but it is such a cool idea.
Yeah, it's really neat. It's sad that it doesn't get used more. I mean,
yeah,
a lot of the times the gameplay, like just speaking of that, like the gameplay is bent to the story's will, I guess I'll put it. Like a lot of stuff, there's like scripted events that you like very realistically can kind of get ahead of the game on, but the game will like pump the brakes on you, and like with that. And this other thing that I wanted to talk about, which I was gonna wait till we got to the story stuff, but I won't talk about the story aspect of it yet. There's a part where you're given a choice, right? And one is a very bad thing you don't want to do, and one thing, and your character will even, and then there's like the choice to attempt to do it without that, right? And the characters will all say in a cutscene before, it's like, we have no choice. I tried my best to do it without doing this awful thing that I didn't want to do, and you can clear every enemy that there is. There are infinitely respawning snipers on an adjacent roof that will kill you eventually, because they are like one-shot kills, and as soon as you pop up to kill one of them, another will kill you. So I had like cleared this entire fucking base of people, and I was like aiming at this other roof, and every time one guy goes down, another one just pops right back up, like like you can almost see them spawn in. Oh, that happened to me one time. I saw enemies like spawn into the map, by the way. Like
that's never good.
Like I ran ahead and nobody had spawned. I was like a corridor where I was supposed to be like surprised by the enemy or something, but I like got there before the game had finished loading, and it's like T-pose, gun, shooting at me. So anyway, I just don't think it's something that games have gotten pretty good, I think, about like moving away from in the last 9 years. Yeah, since this game came out, like letting you play at your own pace and get ahead, and like more backpedaling or cleaning up if you get in that scenario, versus like straight up blocking you from continuing. Like,
I guess
Breath of the Wild. Yeah. Go kill the final boss right away if that's what you want to do. It's going to be hard, but you can do it. It's obviously like not a a super one-to-one type example for this, but I just feel like games in general that I play at least don't pump the brakes on me like this.
Yeah, I think that and we'll get into it like later on, but like I guess it kind of is really important. Like, so I guess to me, right, when the writers were making this game, this is what it seems like.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like they started with the idea that, you know, like we're going to show like the horrors of war.
Yeah.
And like the most, you know, the upteenth degree of that is use of white phosphorus on like, you know, civilians.
Yeah.
And to me, maybe they kind of like worked backwards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then it came up the idea with later stuff in the story, you know, like character going crazy and all that stuff. I feel like I feel like it's a real possibility that happened. Like they started with that. So they're like, okay, how do we get the player to that point? They have to keep doing it. They have to carry on, or else like the rest of the game is like not going to happen. So
yeah, I mean, it's the thought that someone would be like, let's make a game with that as an emotional high point, and then also have the thought we have to make it fun is like very upsetting to think about. Like, you know, like, we're gonna have them kill innocent people. How are we gonna make that fun to do? You know, whatever though. I mean, people play Grand Theft Auto and just run over innocent people all day, so there's something for everybody in this world.
Right. Definitely, because a big part of the story and the gameplay is there's like these junctions where you're given really like a choice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you've passed the white phosphorus part, you definitely saw the part where the dude was like, you're told to kill this dude or this dude, right? Or no?
I think that is before, but maybe it's after. But yeah.
Okay.
I think it's right before. It's like the scene before that, which is why I thought in the white phosphorus part that I would be able to. There would be a choice, but there really wasn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even so, okay. Just to compare and contrast these two, like from like a storytelling perspective, I guess, as well as like signaling to the player that you have a choice. Your two teammates represent like two choices in this first one. Yeah, like one guy in the scene before the white phosphorus scene, this one guy's like, save the CIA guy, and the other one's like, no, we got to save all the people. You have to choose, you know, and that's it, and that's how you know that you get to choose. There's not actually like a on-screen like button prompt that's like, side with this guy or side with this guy. You have to side with them using your actions, which was a little bit confusing. It took me a while to figure out how to side with saving the people.
Mm-hmm.
I actually watched the CIA guy get killed very slowly, and I was very confused. I was like waiting for the guy who didn't want to save the CIA guy to like burst into action or something, and I'm just got my gun just trained on the CIA guy, just like waiting for something to happen.
Right, because it doesn't explicitly prompt you for
which one are you gonna do. But anyway, eventually I realized you have to turn around from where it spawns you, look behind you, and you'll see the guy waiting for you. But that's how it telegraphs it, right? Like it's just these two characters disagreeing, and then like once like literally it's the next scene in the game, they disagree. I guess my inflection, or not inflection point, what's the word I'm looking for? My signal that this is not like that would be that Walker says there's no choice too, and I'm him, he's me, we are one, we are wedded in holy matrimony, mind, body, and soul. So maybe that was supposed to tip me off, but I just didn't pick up on that, you know. And if that's how they were gonna, you know, telegraph to players that they have a choice, it was really weird to immediately kind of go back on that. Or add that slight caveat. Like, I think they could have made it more obvious somehow that I didn't have a choice. Because I spent like 25 minutes, like, you know, trying to not have to use white phosphorus. Yeah.
Yeah. I think just from hearing this game, like, you know, over the years, and that's always like the part that sticks with people, I kind of figured that it wouldn't be a choice. But you are right, where it's like, hey, you gave me, you know, you point to the examples of like 5 other choices. I think the outcome is largely the same, right? Yeah. So it's like the illusion of choice, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. So I didn't get much further past that part in this game, but I read about the endings of this game before our podcast, and it seems like no decision you make during the game actually affects those endings. Those endings,
what it sounds like,
you make those
yeah.
decisions to end the game, and how the game will end in that moment. But
right,
definitely, like, for a game about consequence and about like struggle and PTSD and all this stuff, like it pulls its punches with that, right? Like the decisions you make are forced if they're the really bad ones. They're not like I don't have to live with the fact, that I killed a bunch of innocent civilians by accident because I literally was not given a choice. Like it would have been so much more impactful as a decision if it was an actual decision I made.
And it kind of reminds me of, in a way, it kind of reminds me of the ending of Last of Us.
The first one?
Yeah. Where, you're breaking Ellie out of the hospital, and even though maybe, like, the decision to lie to her or whatever, at the very,
do you get a choice
end,
for that?
No, yeah, exactly.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think it's how, Neil Druckmann and the writers, like, they wanted, like, their version of Joel might have been different than my version of Joel, right?
Right, the one who was in your head.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a divergent between, like, the players and, like, the game devs. That's kind of reminds me of the White Phosphorus situation.
I mean, that's like a problem in games all the time. Like, if I'm supposed to be this character and I act through them as I act as myself, like, how do you reconcile that with the character that they've written for this person to be? And I think I think the phrase is ludo narrative dissonance, when the story parts don't line up with the gameplay parts, and so with this, it's basically that. It's like I don't feel in control, even though I'm in control most of the game. So, oh well. Anything else in gameplay that we wanted to chat about?
Just real quick, I think that it kind of in the part where you're saving the CIA dude or choose not to. That might be. I'm trying to think of, like, another point earlier in the game where it kind of introduces you to, like, the idea of, like, stealth. Maybe like, oh, shoot this dude with your silencer. Like,
there's one other part where I think you have to put on your silencer, but you can just blow. I blew my cover pretty much instantly every time it asked me to do stealth because I'm just stupid.
Why. But, like, even if I don't know, it's like who gives a shit? It's one of those things that it kind of reminds me of some parts in, like, Dishonored or something. Like, I know it's supposed to be like a stealth game, but I got the ammo. You know what I mean? Or, like,
just blow through, go to town.
It doesn't make the game, like, so much harder. You kind of have to go out of your way to do the stealth, as opposed to being punished for going guns blazing. So every time it was like, yo, shut up, there's a guy over there, I was just like, fucking
yeah definitely.
So it's kind of like, why even have stealth at the point? Like, I wonder how many people actually do the stealth parts in this game,
like, all the way through. I mean, that's a problem with, like, a lot of, like, more recent stealth games too, like you were saying with Dishonored, and, like, with Metal Gear Solid 5, like, I had to, like, force myself to play that extremely stealthily because they just dump weapons on you to use that are so loud, and it's like, play how you want to play. We are going to optimize this for every type of gameplay except the type that this series is known for. Like, I think you only get, like, one non-lethal gun, or, like, a handful, and you get tons and tons of lethal weaponry. And I mean, it's probably some kind of commentary on warmongering, but I don't have time for that. I just want, like, sleep grenades. I want, like, everything to, like, do things very quietly, very quietly. But
Splinter Cell, where are you?
I know it's time for a new one. How'd this game look, Cody? What'd you think of the way it looked?
For a game that came out in 2012, it looked actually pretty good. Sometimes the, like, games in this time had kind of, like, janky animations sometimes.
Sorry, I
don't
know what's wrong with me.
Nah, you're just an adult. You're just a human being.
I'm just beat.
No worries. I think that, I guess, like, the landscapes and the city itself look pretty good. Maybe the character models and stuff, like, didn't age as well.
Yeah, the characters definitely look a little like dead in the face a lot of the time. They don't emote a lot, but yeah.
Yeah,
that's
and
just
then,
I think par for the course at the time.
You know what's weird is there's kind of like two different types of cutscenes in this game, which I thought was really weird. I'll have to like look on it again maybe, but I think that there were some that were like just totally jank, like what the fuck. But then like the story cutscenes were
those were like
pre-rendered.
Better. There were pre-rendered cutscenes,
as opposed to
So I was playing this game on my 2K monitor, and when those would come up, like those were like in like 480, 720p. I think they're probably in 720p, because you can like see like all the like rendering artifacts, and it just like looks pretty like blurry and stuff. It's definitely a rough look.
It's like this weird, I don't know, like this weird difference. Like it's animated, it's more smooth and stuff, but it is like lower res, so it's like but I think overall the game does look pretty good, does hold up.
I think it holds up pretty good for 2012. I mean, what else came out in 2012? I'm gonna do a quick Google search.
Dude, if I remember correctly, 2012 was a banger year.
Let's see. We got Dishonored.
Kind of slapped.
Wow. I was talking about Dishonored as a modern stealth game, and it's equally as old as this game. So what the fuck do I know? Mass Effect 3, Borderlands 2, XCOM, Enemy Unknown, Halo 4. Yeah.
2012 slapped. Yeah, that's pretty good.
I'm trying to look for games with like faces. Max Payne 3, that had really good faces. That being said, this game was like a AA game. This wasn't a AAA game. Like this is a pretty small studio with big money. 2K published this, and the studio, I don't know if they were owned by 2K or not, but big money behind it. But not a big team. Did you ever play, sorry, this is totally unrelated, but did you ever play Dust and Elysian Tale?
Was that an Xbox exclusive?
Yeah, it was an Xbox arcade game. It just popped up on so you can get it on Switch. It popped up for 2012 games, and it's something I always wanted to play. Doesn't matter. So yeah, it holds up. Anyways, it holds up pretty well, as expected. I think other games from this time also would have kind of zombie-like faces for the most part. There's a note in here. I liked the way the gate looked. I thought that was like a very visually impressive part of the game, from like a narrative aspect and like from a visual aspect, because like every building is like pretty tarnished in this game that you go through. The sand has blown in this city for I don't even know how long when the game starts, but like the city has been destroyed by sand, so it's a lot of brown. A lot of like light orangey, tanny, sand colors, and the buildings are also like often like sandy colored inside and sandy colored outside.
Outdoors, yeah, for sure.
Like I didn't get a vibe whether like all the buildings in Dubai are tan or if that's from the sand damage. It doesn't. It's not very clear, but the gate is bright white. It's like the only erect building in the game, at least from where I got. Like the only building that was like still standing in its proper place, and it's not tipped over partially, and it's just like this stark white, like that you have not seen yet in the game. So I thought that was pretty visually impressive, and like just definitely like you knew something like significant was going on potentially, and just looked good. So were there any moments in the game where you were like, damn, that looks pretty good? Like was there any like signpost moment, or not, what's the word, watershed moments? Like, oh my god, this game is beautiful, because that's the only one I had.
Yeah, maybe not visually. I can't think of any like visual like whoa moments. You know what I mean? And I guess that kind of just is par for the course with games from this era. Like this one is probably better than most, but it's serviceable now. I think that something that made me go whoa, but in a bad way. The cutscenes, bro, like chillax with the found footage camera moving around. I hate that shit. Just cool it.
Well, that was very in 2012, dude. You know?
Yeah.
What year did Cloverfield come out? I know it was way before that, but I want to know how hot and new, found footage was in like the public sphere. 2008. So it had been 4 years since Cloverfield invented. Yeah, no, I know. But I feel like Cloverfield really like brought it to like the forefront of like action and stuff, and like, really popularized it. But I know that like Blair Witch is the OG kind of one, or the like one people think of.
There's a point in the game where the camera's kind of circling like the dudes, they're getting ready to do the next thing or whatever.
Yeah.
And like it's literally shaking like more than I've ever seen anything shake ever. I was like, dude, this is terrible.
Yeah, it sucks. I hate that.
Oh, okay. So something that visually kind of stuck out to me, the part where you probably passed this point, like the sand, like the extended sand fight where you're trying to run for a shelter.
Oh yeah, through the sand. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's actually pretty cool. Like I couldn't
see
the sand. Yeah,
wow, I can't fucking see shit. This is pretty cool. This looks great. I can't see it. Looks great.
And then later on in the game, you'll get to this point. You're pretty close. You're trying to help your boys out, and this is the part where he starts going crazy. One of the big machine dudes is like coming at you, and I don't know, you're going crazy, and it kind of like it would turn off. It's like someone turn off the lights and turn it back on, and the machine dude would be like over here.
Oh, cool.
So it's like, I guess the character is going nuts, and he can't really see where he's at.
Yeah.
It was kind of jarring.
Yeah.
I don't know if it got the effect from me that they wanted. I was kind of like, yo, stop. Like, that kind of hurts my eyes.
Were you confused, or like did you kind of like from a narrative perspective pick up on what was going on, that like he's supposed to be going nuts?
I guess like the first time I was like, oh, they're doing like a light thing, but then like he keeps doing it and you keep missing. I don't think there's a way you can hit him. Like it's kind of scripted. And then eventually you do hit him and it's like it stops. And I'm like, okay, that kind of sucks. I gotta rub my eye to take a break real quick because my eyes hurt. So
yeah,
visually
it's an okay looking game.
Yeah.
All right. Sound design. We don't have a lot of notes on sound design.
Nope.
It had cool licensed music. We have that as a note. I can't think of any of the songs that were in it, but I do remember like hearing a couple times where I was like, oh yeah, this song. Can't remember it now, but totally.
Yeah, it's like,
which
very,
is fine.
The radio man is playing very American rock music as you're going through and killing dudes, and I guess it probably talks to like, I don't know, America and imperialism and all that shit,
Yeah.
It's kind of like how Clearwater Revival is in like every war movie. It's kind of like that kind of music.
Isn't that wait, that's in there, right?
Probably.
I think that's in there. Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me. It's in every
like
war
The Fortunate Son or whatever.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's in this game. Yeah.
I know Flight of the Valkyries is.
Really? I don't remember that.
I think it's the part where you're getting chased by like a helicopter. I think the radio dude is singing it, so maybe.
I love that.
Yeah.
Voice acting was pretty good. We thought Nolan North as Walker gave a pretty good performance. I guess I'd say overall it was probably more leaning towards like unremarkable / bad, but like Nolan North was a high point. I thought the radio man, who is Jake Busey, who is Gary Busey's son, ? Had no idea he had a son who was a voice actor. I thought their two performances were pretty good. But everyone else like kind of lacked a lot of flavor, a lot of like mashugana, Lugo and Adams, like that just didn't do it for me.
Who's the funny guy? Is it Lugo or Adams?
I think Lugo's the one who likes to crack jokes. He's kind of got like a Long Island kind of accent going on, or like New York accent.
He was cool sometimes.
I don't know. It's just kind of boring though. I feel like and sometimes the lines like felt. I know he was making jokes to like the character's supposed to be trying to break the tension, but there's like a certain like I feel like you have to be pretty confident to make a joke when you're at war,
Like
you know.
Yeah.
You gotta feel like, you gotta feel pretty confident in the joke you're making, and this guy just kind of I didn't get that vibe, but
Yeah, like where'd they find this guy? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is Delta Force? I don't think so.
Yeah. All right, so let's wrap up with the story. So we've kind of touched on it in multiple places, but the game's about a slow descent into madness for this guy Walker, or it's about a rescue mission that causes this guy to descend into madness because it does not succeed. And I wouldn't say there's like a ton of interesting things about the first half of the game narratively. Like it's like approaching what is like what Cody said earlier about the middle point being like an idea they had, and then trying to build you towards that, and then build you like away from that narratively.
Yeah, it's like the gameplay and stuff's kind of like a vehicle to tell the story. And overall, it's like, super short. Like we're not talking about a game that's like super
This game
long.
takes like probably like 10 hours max to beat. Probably more like 8.
Yeah, for sure. So
but yeah, exactly. Like the gameplay and like the story beats are just getting you to the white phosphorus scene. So like the white phosphorus scene is we've mentioned it a little bit, but it's the full thick and skinny is that you show up at the enemy base, the gate, which is this huge white building, and you are told you have no choice, and you use the white phosphorus because you're like grossly outnumbered by the enemy, and you just have this. They left some ordnance on a nearby rooftop, and you just find it, so you use it.
Yeah, it's kind of like hinted before that they had used it because you had kind of walked through.
Yeah, you walk through it, and you're like, why would anyone ever use this?
Yeah.
Excuse me. So you blow everybody up, and you're like, well, they were the enemy, and then you find out there were a bunch of civilians like squatting in a nearby ravine, and you blew them up too. You fried them alive. So it's pretty fucked up.
Gnarly,
it's a gnarly scene. It's a hard scene. They linger on this shot of like a mother and daughter, and it just is like, it just sucks. It just fucking sucks. What do you think? So like the gate, right? Like the gate. It's funny that it's literally a gate
to hell,
into into the madness. Like it is such like an iconic thing for this game, I think, or like it's something I can picture in my head still is basically what I'm saying. Like I can't think of most imagery in this game very well, but like this huge white
Sticks
tower that's like it's like the shape of an H or something. Like that's why it's called the gate, but it's just a building. Like it is a gate for this guy. He's like crossing. It's like a transition point. He's like crossing over. So it's a little on the nose, but I think it's cool
for sure. So like Walker as a character, he is trying to do the right thing. Stuff keeps getting in his way.
Stuff being enemy soldiers mostly.
And then this tragic thing happens, but Walker as a character is like he has that moment where it kind of like freeze frames on his face, and then Lugo and Adams are arguing in the background. And then he kind of like snaps out of it, and he's like, all right, we got to keep going. And Lugo and Adams are like, that's weird, Walker, you're being weird, you know what I mean? Like he like doesn't want to settle for a second and like consider his actions. Like he needs to keep moving. He's like, he tells Adam and Lugo that they had no choice. I called him Adam, but his name is it's the last name, not Adam.
That's his first name too.
Adam Adams. But yeah, I think that and definitely when this game came out, like even without knowing too much about it, like this was I don't know if selling point's the right word. It's kind of just like, hey, narratively this game is taking a lot of like bold steps, and that's notable, and that's kind of like why everyone was talking about it. Like the controversy around it, stuff like that.
So like it does the thing that BioShock does. Not to, it's the second time we've brought up BioShock on the podcast. I think,
Hades.
Yeah. Like, you know, punishing, I think it's a cool thing, and it's probably at this point like played out for the most part, and that's why you don't see it a lot anymore. I mean, BioShock definitely did it the coolest way, and everything else kind of feels like an imitation, but it's punishing you. It's trying to make you feel bad for playing the game. Like, you made a mistake because you followed the checkpoints, you followed the waypoints, you killed everybody in every room between you and your objective, and you are a bad person for doing that, or you are a fool. Like in BioShock, it's more like, what, you fucking simpleton, like, you know. Whereas this is like, you're a piece of shit.
I think that, you know, I can see like maybe in like a different universe or whatever, like the whole game you're shooting, like, you know, people who live in Dubai or whatever, right? Instead of American soldiers.
Well, you shoot American soldiers in this game too.
That's what I'm saying. Like I think in a it's like kind of different in that way, right? Like usually you wouldn't shoot your own people or whatever. So that's kind of like the first beat where it's like makes you kind of something
like this isn't my typical Call of Duty type game, right?
Exactly.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, definitely. And then like the CIA getting involved in killing off CIA guys too. I mean, it's a crazy game. Walker was a pretty good surrogate, I think, for the player for the most part. He was just like a guy. I mean, I say Boy that as Scout. Like he's like a Boy Scout, and I play video games like a Boy Scout. I always try to follow like that like morally right path for the most part, at least, especially when I play a game for the first time. I never want to be a dick. I don't get people whose like goal is to be a dick in a video game. Like,
it just feels wrong, right?
It just feels wrong. It's it's like, but maybe my morals are just so like hard grounded in my being that like I'm a pushover who can't like, you know, have a power fantasy. I don't know, but I just can't do it. I just have to be the nice guy in a game if I can be. So I don't know. He's fine in that way. Like he tries to do the right thing, right? And it doesn't go well for him. And then pushes Lugo and Adams, they're just kind of like guys. Like you called out that Lugo's like the funny guy, which is true. He's like tries to be the funny guy. And then what is Adams though? After, if Lugo's the funny guy, Walker's the Boy Scout, who's Adams in this trio? You know
what's funny is I think Adams is kind of written to be like the ultimate good guy, and Walker might be like in the middle, but then he has to get the job done at some point, right? Because there, you know, that point where you are tasked with either rescuing the CIA dude or saving the civilians. Obviously, Adams is the dude who's like, "Nah, we gotta save the civilians," right?
Yeah.
And
but they don't. Something I want to point out about that really quick is they both contextualize it in the mission. They don't like. It's not like Adams doesn't say we need to save civilians because we are good people who save civilians. He says we need to save civilians because that actually is the mission. And then Lugo's the one who's like, like, well, we want to save civilians. That's the mission. But
there's something
if we
greater.
save this guy, both of those are like, there's it's like a gray area, right? Like, in which is what I think this game probably tries to go for overall for these moral choices. It's not like one is like overtly like, I'm the bad guy or I'm the good guy. And so in that way, I don't think that Adams is like the ultimate good guy in this story. He just seems to me like Walker 2. Like, and like more poorly like written Walker and less interesting
or something.
Yeah, just a boring Walker.
You know what's funny is that the scene after the white phosphorus, I believe it's Lugo who's like, yo, this is fucked up.
Lugo
like,
goes
what
nuts.
We're doing. And it's like, in my mind, I was like, shouldn't that have been Adams? Like if they're going towards that route, but then they immediately like take a left turn. It's like, okay, Adams and Lugo are just there, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They just feel very like secondary characters, and which is, you don't want for a story about 3 people. Yeah. You don't want your literal. So I said secondary characters. They feel more like background characters for a story about 3 people, which means there's just, I don't know. I just don't think there's both too much and not enough focus on them in that way. Like, they're so integral to this like squad-based gameplay, but in the story they don't feel as integral. So I don't know.
Agreed.
All right. My last point. What did you think of this probably could have gone under gameplay too, but like this game tried to do a little bit of that good environmental storytelling, pick up the documents, like read the documents. So what did you think about that aspect of this game as it compares to like other games that do this?
I tried to read like the first couple, but at a certain point I was just like, and maybe that's because the structure of our podcast here, we're trying to see as much of the game as possible in the time frame. So it's like I just felt like I was just wasting time. Like I really didn't feel like I was getting anything out of them. And dude, I've talked about this before, but Jesus Christ, play the audio while I'm playing the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially if it's a voice thing. If it's a voice thing and I have to sit there
and just stare,
and it doesn't, it's like, what the hell, dude? So I think that's something that games have gotten better at.
Definitely.
But yeah, I didn't find myself, engrossed in the collectibles.
So I found a couple, and I feel like the kind of like you said, when you start shooting U.S. soldiers, you're like, oh, maybe this isn't my standard Medal of Honor Call of Duty game. But like this stuff this was more my tip off. Is like I found an item that was like kind of revealed Walker's inner thoughts when he picked it up. It was like a doll or something. He was like, I literally cannot show this to Lugo and Adams. I'm gonna start crying. Like, this is so fucked up. What are we really doing here?
Right.
What, it's those thoughts that kind of permeate obviously through the whole game, but made like very obvious, like put forward. And I just thought, if you weren't picking up on it, it's, it lets you know. And that was kind of, even though I already knew that was like that first, like, moment where it occurred to me, where a player might realize that this is different. I mean, we have like, just saying, like, with all this story stuff, we have like the advantage of playing this game 9 years after it came out. Everybody knows what it is. Yeah. So I'm trying to imagine like what it would have been like playing this in 2012, not having gone, like, you go to fucking Target and you're like, sir, Target associate, could you unlock the glass? And you take it out from behind the glass, please. And you have no idea what it is. It just looks like a shooter game. Like, it looks, you're like, oh, I beat Black Ops 2, I think it was 2012. What am I gonna play now? Oh, I guess let's get Spec Ops The Line.
Right. So, like, I don't know, that would be definitely a surprise.
Yeah, right. So this would be one of those moments that was like signposting that like really clearly pretty early on, which I thought was cool. Yeah. Speaking of, I guess this kind of, fits into the narrative, but I think it undercuts the whole narrative a little bit that this game includes a multiplayer feature, like this game about the horrors of war. It's like, but
it's like a 2K decision, like, gotta shoehorn it in, right? Like, all games in this era have multiplayer, so
it just feels like, go shoot your friends. I wouldn't want to shoot anybody after playing this game. This game made me sad to play, as far as I got in it.
That's actually an interesting, I don't know why I hadn't considered that, but it's just like a relic of the time, but it totally contradicts the story. So
yeah, entirely. And I'm glad it probably doesn't run anymore. I can't do it even if I wanted to.
Right.
So, is that going to do it though? I think that's going to do it for our discussion of Spec Ops The Line.
I think that does it, man.
Okay. Cody, what's going on that stamp?
Ooh. It's probably.
I can go first.
I had a good one before.
I'm gonna go with more sand traps, please.
Oh, cool.
Because it was, I think, the coolest, most underused mechanic in the game. Not that it was like doing any kind of like actual cool like particle simulation or anything like that, but it was like, it felt really like impactful, and I just wish I could have done it more. I wish I could have noticed on my own that there's sand on a window and taken movies out with it. But
yeah,
that's
agreed.
All.
That was like the coolest part for sure. Yeah, I guess on my stamp would be like, it's a poster of like a CCR like tour that they're doing.
Okay.
because it has that CCR song that we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
It's
Took
got
me
like
a
the
second.
vibe, you know.
I was thinking like, is Dubai in CCR and I don't know it?
No way, actually, you know what? I'm gonna do the first time ever. I'm gonna take that stamp away. It's gonna be vacation in beautiful Dubai. I think the location, we didn't talk about it, but the location of this game, I think it's super cool. Like I don't think I've seen anything like it, because it's like
that's true.
It's like a mix between it's like a desert, right? But it's like a super developed city. Usually it's in,
right. Like Dubai is like very much like a symbol of opulence in our world,
right.
And so the fact that it has fallen is, it's very like, it's strange, it's like exciting, it's new, it's scary, and there's a lot of cool contrast between these like barren, deserted environments, like the poorer parts, or like the kind of villages that have sprung up post sandstorm, but like you'll go into like a fucking mansion and it's full of sand, and there'll be like golden you find so much like jewels and stuff for those intel items. Like you find like nice shit, and it's always a thought on like, man, people really used to live here and take their lives for granted, and they were so rich. And
because especially, dude, if you've ever been to the beach, you know it. Once you get sand, you can't get rid of it. You know what I'm saying?
I wouldn't want to sniff Walker's ass crack. Actually, I take that back. I would like to sniff Walker's ass crack. Anyway,
Jerry,
that's a good one.
like dogs
going nuts. We're gonna take a quick break, and we're gonna be back with Cody and Evan. Think about Casper, because they miss him time.
Oh, poor Casper.
So we'll be right back. And we're back. Let's talk E3. Whoa, Cody's doing some naughty stuff on cam. I'm not gonna say what he did.
Whoa.
So E3 happened between the recording of this episode and the last episode. And I just want to know, I would love to know Casper's thoughts on this, if he was here.
He's too busy being dead.
I want to know what your thoughts are, Cody. What are you like? What are you hyped for? Or like, what did you think of E3 overall this year? For, it was gone last year.
Yeah.
So it's 2 years since the last E3. Does it live up to the hype? Does E3 deserve to still exist? Do gamers deserve better?
I think that no. I think E3 should die. I kind of don't.
Oh, I thought you meant no, gamers don't deserve better, because gamers suck.
That's true too. But no, I don't know. It's like, it's this weird thing where I have like this nostalgia for like this week of jam-packed announcements. It's gonna be great, right? But even back then, like if you really think about it, they're all kind of shit. There's only like a handful of, usually it's the first party stuff that really leaves like an impact, like a lasting impact.
Yeah.
Like think about Ubisoft, like every single year it's just dance, like people are dancing around like on the stage. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, no one cares.
So it's getting better for sure, but I think that as we're kind of trending towards like a pre-recorded like video, hey, it's fully edited, everything.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, what's the point of E3 then?
Right.
I mean, I guess on some point it is kind of nice that like all the publishers and stuff like bring out their big guns, right? But that's nice in theory, because this year,
where was that? Yeah, I don't see anything.
Like off the top of my head, right? Like 2K, what the fuck was that? I couldn't even stand the whole thing.
Yeah, I think it was just not what people were expecting, or maybe what they were hoping for. I think they did signpost that it was going to be like a panel.
Like that's super cool, right? Like inclusivity and all that stuff.
Right, but you're not in the mood.
Like
you're not.
Like
but you're not. You weren't looking for that. I get it.
I feel like I'm pretty like in tune on like what's going on with games and shit. And like I thought it would be, like I had some predictions of my own. I'm like, I
know. The E3 bingo board is empty for all the 2K spaces. I don't think anyone guessed that.
And then like Gearbox, no good. Capcom, no good. Square Enix, okay, they had some stuff. None of it really spoke to me, but
Guardians looks okay.
Yeah. And then Yeah, I don't know. So like Xbox was definitely a highlight. Nintendo was definitely a highlight.
I would say
Ubisoft
Nintendo
was actually pretty good.
a bummer, but maybe that's because I have such high expectations for Nintendo, generally speaking. And I would say
That's fair.
overall, I was like, none of my bingo squares got crossed off because like I was hoping like Splatoon, more than what we got of Breath of the Wild. There were a couple like Bayonetta 3. I was expecting.
Yeah.
All this stuff that I say expecting, I mean hoping for, right? And it's just wasn't what I was hoping for. There was some cool stuff, but nothing like blew my mind. Like when I'm trying to remember what they announced. They announced something 2 years ago at the Nintendo E3, and I fell out of my chair because I was so hyped for it. I was playing it up because I was with people. Like
that was always fun, right? Having people over.
Yeah, and I watched it. I did watch the Nintendo one with some coworkers, but like we were all just kind of eating pizza, like, oh no way, oh great. I mean, Advance Wars is pretty sick. Like I'm pretty excited to play that again.
Yeah,
and like Metroid looked cool if you're into the 2D Metroid games.
Right.
I do think like the Metroidvania stuff. Like I prefer the more modern takes on it, so we'll see what I think because I don't really like Super Metroid. So we'll see if like the first 2D Metroid game
and like forever ever.
Right. Yeah. I guess they remade Metroid 2, but like this is like the first new one in forever. So, I don't know what I'll think of it, I guess, but I hope it's good. I'm cautiously optimistic for it. I mean, the Summer Games Fest before E3 was like pretty fun. I can't remember everything that was in it, but like, they had Elden Ring at the end. Like that was huge. So that's like the only thing that I was like super super hyped about this whole time, or like through E3. Nothing else. If I was sitting with people, I probably would have fallen out of my chair. Instead, I was playing or working, not playing. I work. I don't play. I was working and I had the stream on my extra monitor and I was just wigging out of my desk by myself.
It's like I don't know, like in every showcase there definitely was like a handful of games that I'm like, oh cool, but I'm trying to think, like the indie games one, okay, it's kind of cherry pick some games that look cool out of that, and for those ones I didn't even watch like the whole thing. I just like kind of
I did a lot of that after the fact, like skipped through.
Yeah,
and just, like,
right, and just
paused
stop whenever I saw. Exactly, and the Xbox One and the Nintendo one, man, I think that's really just where it's at. Everything else you can catch up after the fact, which then begs the question, you know what I mean? Like,
do we need this event? Yeah,
especially when, I don't know, like throughout the last year, we've definitely seen like through COVID and everything, like a publisher will just like get up one day and be like, hey, here's a 30-minute like showcase what's coming later in the year, right? So it's like that kind of fills the space that E3 did, and Nintendo was very fast to make the move, right? They haven't done a physical E3 in forever.
I was kind of hoping that Sony would, because it wasn't going to be an in-person show, that they would do some kind of state of play type thing. Was disappointed to know that they did not.
Yeah, and I think this is kind of like they're like, so you have Nintendo where they're kind of like walking the line, like, oh, we're not like E3, but it is E3, right? It's during E3 week,
right?
But then like Sony is just like kind of totally associating, like, you know what, we're just gonna get our own news cycle later on in the summer, and avoid the whole thing. So just different strategies, I guess. But yeah, I think so. Like a final note for me would be, man, Xbox has a lot of shit coming
to Game Pass.
Yes. It's like I got Game Pass, like the $1 for 3 months, like right after. I'm like, all right, they got me, because even though I don't know, maybe like later in the year it isn't as clear, but definitely over like 2022 and 2023 for sure, it's like, yo, it's gonna start rolling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like every like maybe 2 months or like at least every quarter, it's gonna start like, they're gonna start coming. So
yeah, crazy. It's crazy how much they're putting into Game Pass. Like it's, like
It's not making money for them, but hey, listen, consumer side, it's great.
Yeah, it's just crazy that they can make money off it. Yeah, that's basically what I'm thinking. Like, but like subscriptions, are just, I mean, they're a recurring, continued source of income. Whereas like you sell one game and then you never make any income off it again. So I get why they lean in that direction. Mm-hmm. It's more like consistent and sustainable and all that stuff. But damn, does not seem like legit. It seems illegal. All right, I'm just gonna rattle off some stuff I thought was cool really quick, and then I'll let you go do a big poop, Cody, after the show. So
I don't have to poop.
Breath of the Wild 2 was kind of cool, not as much as I wanted. I'm pretty excited about 2 Point Campus. I really like 2 Point Hospital, so I'm pretty excited for a new 2 Point game, and it looks like it's much bigger in terms of what you can do. Like you can build bigger spaces, and it just looks fun. Forza Horizon 5. Little known fact about me, I really liked Forza Horizon 4. I have it on the PC, and I really like it. So that's going to be sick. It's in Mexico, I believe, now, which is cool. It's better than Forza Horizon 4 and 3 are both like, maybe actually I forget where 3 is, but 4 is like in Scotland, and it's just like a lot of green. Like it looks kind of like here where I live, like I'm excited to like drive around somewhere that seems real different. We already talked about Metroid, Guardians of the Galaxy, Advance Wars a little bit. All right, last thing. This is a sleeper hit. You ready for this? So if you watch the Future Games show, they had some demos that were available on Steam for like a week. I don't think you can get the demos anymore. But what is going on next to you with your light?
Everything's lighting up, like turning different colors.
I know. It's like there's lightning or something in Cody's room. Timberborn is a beaver city sim, and
that's dope. That's sick.
Fucking awesome. I played the demo. I really liked it. It's like very like unpolished in the demo state, but I like have faith that these guys are gonna make something pretty cool because I love beavers. I love city sims that like are pretty small in scope overall. Like I can't do city skylines. It just gets way too much for me to manage. There's too many systems. But like I love. Why am I spacing so hard on this? Banished is like my favorite city sim of all time, and I love that scale of it, where it's just like you build a village. The village can get pretty sprawling, but it's just a village. Or like with Frostpunk. Like Frostpunk, that size is just ideal for me. And so it's the same size, and it's about fucking beavers. And it's got a cool mechanic where like the buildings are stackable, so you can like build like tall buildings out of the individual smaller buildings.
Cool.
So, and you have to like make sure you like build it correctly so that there's like a path for them to walk up. It's really neat. I dammed this river, right, because I wanted to get to the other side of it. I wanted my beavers to be able to get across. There's 2 seasons in the game. There's like rainy season and dry season. I dammed this river, and I had put a water pump on the other side of the dam beforehand, and it should have occurred to me, but when we hit the dry season, my dam dammed the water, and then I had no water and my water pump, and it was just like this really cool like fucking but like what kind of stuff does that open up for you to be able to do later? It's just, I thought it was cool. But that's I think that's it for stuff that I thought was like really exciting at E3. You have any last thoughts about E3, Cody, before we sign off and say what our last game or next game is? It's not our last game. We're not canceling the show.
No, I get. I guess like when you mentioned like the demos and stuff, through it's probably a partnership through Summer Games Fest, right? With Jeff Keighley's thing. That's probably like the next evolution of like where I can see E3 going. Like, it seems like Jeff Keighley's kind of trying to butt E3 out of there and kind of take its place and be the evolution of that idea.
Well, for consumers specifically, right? Like, because
for consumers,
I don't know
for sure,
if I mean, obviously, I listen to a lot of podcasts and about games journalists who are all like, we don't want to go there anymore. We don't want to do this. But are the business is it still super valuable for like people who are participants in the industry? Like they actually work in the industry. They like make games and they are pitching their games and they are, doing business deals with publishers and blah, 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 blah,
That's true. That is true.
Who knows? But yes, I think the consumer side is probably on its way out the door for E3 as well. I hope Jeff Keighley can just Put the final nail in that coffin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff Keighley 8E3? That'll be our
question mark?
Yeah. That'll be our YouTube title for this.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But no, I think overall, I think it was a pretty good show, all things considered. You're obviously missing Sony. It's kind of like the big, one of the big dogs.
A big dog with a naughty dog.
Yeah. Oh, hey, nice.
Oh,
yeah, I think Xbox and Nintendo did a good job of keeping the thing, giving it a heartbeat. Let's say, because let's say like Nintendo wasn't there and they were going later in the summer.
Yeah, that would have sucked.
Dude, this thing's
rough
dead.
Week. Yeah. Did they talk about Fable in the Xbox
No, they didn't.
thing?
They actually skipped it. They didn't talk about a lot of games that people thought they were, but they had a lot of surprise announcements, like what Arcane's working on and stuff like that. Like definitely surprises. Release date for Starfield. Yeah.
That Bloodfall or something.
Redfall.
Redfall. That looked kind of cool.
It's pretty dope.
Yeah.
So one last note. Yo, when's Halo Infinite coming out, huh?
Who knows? But the multiplayer is gonna be free, which I thought like makes sense, for as an investment.
Yeah, you gotta compete with Warzone and Fortnite and all that stuff.
Yeah. So
Valorant. Yep.
So I think that's going to do it for episode 17 of Any Percent. Our next game, I don't know, we kind of just agreed on is nobody's pick. I don't know whose pick it would have officially been, but since Casper's not here, we just like picked one, and we'll go back to our official picking rotation when Casper returns from sabbatical. So next week we're playing, Cody, what are we playing? Tell the people.
Creature in the Well. I guess it's like a third-person isometric pinball
action pinball
puzzle
game. Yeah.
So excited to check it out. I've heard good things. Might be on Game Pass, but
it was. I think it was, and I think it isn't now, but maybe, I don't know. Play it along with us if you want. You can get it on PC, Switch. I think.
Definitely get it on Switch maybe.
So I think that's going to do it, though. So thank you for listening. Thank you, Cody, for hosting with me. Casper, if you're out there, we miss you, dog.
Casper, you're dead to me.
And yeah, that's going to do it. Thanks for listening.
Bye, guys.